We're good.
This is the National Apprenticeship Awards, and you've got a collection of some of the stars of the future in the room here. And there are so many people who benefit from these schemes, businesses right across the UK who use the apprenticeship scheme to find the next generation of superstars, really. So it's lovely to be in a room with people who have all got some very bright futures ahead of them.
I'm here to celebrate the amazing work that apprentices have done over the last year, but also the work of apprentice employers and everyone who's championed and supported them.
Apprenticeships are a way of learning the job on the job. To get that hands-on experience that's so invaluable in building a career.
For small businesses, apprenticeships are such an important source of talent. Small businesses have had a really tough time over the last couple of years, and so to be able to use apprenticeships to develop the skills they need, really, really important.
This is ushering in the era of the skills economy. We do the largest vaccination program in history. This is what this nation is great at. When we spot an opportunity, we drive all the way through it.
I, as an apprentice, learn so much through my employer. I get, my education, but also on-the-ground skills. But at the same time, I bring so much to them. We just come in ready to learn, ready to work, and with so much enthusiasm.
I think these awards are important to everybody else who wins, because it's recognising the work that people have put in at all levels as well, in all different categories. And not only that, it's also recognising the employers, which is really important as well. We need more companies to take on apprentices, and I think being able to recognise employers in this way as well is definitely really important.
It feels absolutely fantastic to win. The last time we won this award was back in 2017, so to win it again is absolutely fantastic.
Being recognised for such great schemes that we run, it's testament to all the apprentices that we've got on scheme currently.
We're absolutely thrilled. It's all about delivering great qualifications and great career opportunity for local residents and also for our staff.
It's been so exciting just to also see the support that I've received in my organisation, but also within the apprentice community, and I'm so excited to be here.
It's just such an amazing opportunity to celebrate success of young people, and so inspiring to hear the experiences they've had and what an amazing impact they're making in their different walks of life.
An apprentice is such a worthwhile tool and asset to the company. They can be moulded to how the company works. They can be a real team player in all aspects of it, so 100% I'd recommend it to everybody.
As apprentices, we want to be there. We're so enthusiastic about your business, about what you're doing. There's no way that you could regret it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lauren from Lloyds Banking Group, and I'm delighted to welcome you to Lloyds Careers Live. Tonight, I'm joined by my colleague Kim, and we both work for Lloyds Banking Group. So although it's the 17th of January, I'm not sure if it's still acceptable to say Happy New Year, maybe not, but I wish everyone tuning in today another year of Careers Live, and I'd really like to wish you the best for your career that awaits you and hope that 2023 is the year for you. So back in December, Matt and Holly hosted Careers Live, where we explored some of the differences and the similarities between apprenticeships and going off to study full-time at university. It was a really great show, so if you missed that one, do go back onto our Lloyds Career YouTube channel and check it out if you hadn't had the chance already. So tonight, myself and Kim have the pleasure of welcoming you to Scotland. You may have already guessed, given the accent, but this is actually the first time that we've broadcast live from Edinburgh. So it's really exciting to welcome you tonight. And it is the first Careers Live of 2023. So when it comes to considering your own great career, there's always more than one option. And throughout the year, the first Tuesday of every month, we will introduce you to a brand new career space for you to explore and for you to consider if it's right for you. Kim.
Thank you, Lauren. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim. You may have noticed that although today is Tuesday, it's not quite the first Tuesday of the month. We decided that so soon after New Year celebrations, the school's not actually starting back. It was best to start a little bit later this month. The other reason why we're streaming on a different day to usual is because tonight we'll be exploring careers within the world of audit. If you have no idea what that term actually means, that's totally okay, as we'll make sure you can go away with a much better understanding. And for some more exciting news, okay, we've heard that some jobs are going to be opening up up very soon here in Edinburgh for students in 6th year to apply for and secure ready for September start. So I guess imagine how awesome it'll be when you sit your exams, then you go into the summer holidays, knowing you have a job and a study plan all sorted out for you come this autumn.
Great. And Careers Live is not just presented by Lloyds Banking Group, but it's actually hosted by us as well. So everyone that you'll see on tonight's stream works for the group in some capacity. And the group actually has over 55,000 employees, which is a lot. You might not have realised the scale of the group, but many of us has built our career throughout Lloyds. That might have been via the graduate route, via an apprentice, or in some cases both. So I've been really lucky enough to have two very different roles within LBG at my time here. Firstly, I did a very technical role, so I worked within group tax within the finance division. So as you can imagine, very technical specialist kind of tax knowledge there. And now I do something completely different, still within group finance, but I work in the finance strategy and community team, and we take care of all things people and culture. It's such a rewarding role, and I really do love it. So in a group as big and diverse as LBG, there's loads of new opportunities. There's lots of challenges to consider, and if you're willing to sort of be brave and give things a go, then this, Lloyds is the career path for you. So tonight's event is all about helping you understand more about industry, where things are progressing, what jobs look like when you start out, and we really want to show you, to build a great career, to achieve that industry like professional qualification. There's more than one option, lots of options available.
So telling you a little bit about my story. So my name is Kim, as you already know, and I've been a software engineer now for about 2 years. I've worked at the bank for about 13 years, and I started my career in the call centre supporting our customers. I'd always been a bit geeky, a bit techie, and I was totally into gaming. People around me weren't, but I hadn't studied like a tech job or a tech kind of qualification at school or at uni. In fact, I was going to be a mental health nurse, so I didn't think that this was ever going to be like a world that I could enter. Lloyds were advertising apprenticeships in software engineering, and I jumped at the chance because didn't need to know coding. I didn't have to have already had those qualifications, and it was great because I was like, this is something I absolutely love doing. So jumped at it, and a couple of years down the line, I'm now at uni again once a week, working towards my degree and still working on a good wage and actually loving every minute of it. So in our lineup tonight, we'll shortly be introducing you to Scott and Sarah, who will help us understand what audit is all about. We'll find out it's a profession that exists in lots of different businesses and helps to keep companies safe. Then we'll meet Ellie, Jennifer and Kieran, who are taking the apprenticeship route to becoming fully qualified auditors. And you can put your questions to them and find out more about the journey to become an auditor. And around 6:45, we'll be talking to Rich from Lloyd's Early Careers team, who looks after the apprenticeship programmes for audit. Rich is going to tell us more about how the programmes work, what qualifications are needed, whether you studied here in Scotland or elsewhere in the UK, what the learning journeys looks like, and all the support that's going to help you to be successful. And as we've said, because there are opportunities to become an auditor coming up shortly, we'll be finding out from Rich about how to apply there.
Perfect, that's great, Kim. I think you're a really great example of the different career paths that you can take within LBG within your time that you've been here. So thank you for sharing that. So lots to get through, and we really want this session to add value. And we've got some great guests lined up, as Kim said, and between the two of us, we'll ask lots of questions and get you all the information that you're going to need. So we want you to be able to leave this session tonight and really have all the answers that you need to apply for LBG. So if you're joining us on Zoom, you can put your questions directly in the chat. Ian and Rich have introduced themselves in there, so you know where to put your questions. And then if you're watching us on YouTube or through your favourite social media channel, then you can also interact with us on there using Mentimeter. And we've also got the closed caption running this evening on Zoom. So if you need to action that feature, do please do it now.
Lauren, I think it's time to put Zoom through its paces and test everyone's ability to use the chat and reactions tab. So let's find out where everyone is joining us from tonight, okay? So let us know from where you're from. You can type it in the chat or in Mentimeter, and let us see like who's the closest and who's the furthest away from Edinburgh tonight. So start sticking it in the chat.
I always like this bit.
Yeah, this is the fun bit. See where everyone's from.
Okay, just north of Bristol. Go to Bristol quite a lot for my work, so it's a favourite of mine. Oh, someone really close to you, Chloe. Where's really close to you, Kim?
Very close to me.
Great.
There's Birmingham as well.
Midlands, Leeds. Great, got a bit of variety there. Any more? Right, another person from Leeds, that's great.
Seen South Wales, Newport.
Excellent, and that's just some of our colleagues saying hi from Edinburgh as well. So that's great to see we've got a bit of variety there. Always good to know where you are. Just also would like to make sure we're pitching our information tonight on what you need to know. So it just helps us to know a little bit more about you. So we've got another quick poll that we want to share with you tonight. So again, if you're on Zoom, you can answer it here, and then again, Mentimeter over there is the same question. So we want to ask you about what stage of education that you are currently in. So that's just coming up on your screen now. So there's lots of options there to choose from. We'll just give you a second to look at that. So we're just wanting to explore what stage of education you're currently in. That way we've just got an idea on how we can shape what we're telling you this evening. So lots of options, Nat 5s, GCSEs, hires, advanced hires. There's so many different qualifications now. Yeah, if you're already doing an apprenticeship, if you're already at university, if you're already in work, great to get a feel for where you are. So we'll just give you a second to do that, and then we'll reveal the answers. Okay, we're just, the poll's just ending there, so we'll just wait for the big reveal. Okay, I'm still waiting to see that there. I don't know, Ian, Rich, if you can see any of the outcomes of the polls there. Sorry, I'm just struggling to see those options.
Yeah, I can see them, Lauren. So hi, everybody. I'm Ian. So along with Rich, we're around this evening. So yeah, so basically what you've got on the screen is, so you've got 60% of people who are doing kind of hires, advanced hires, A-levels, BTECs, T-levels. There are so many different things you can do in post-16. And then we've got a few who are doing Nat 5s or GCSEs as well. So I think for those who are doing so those who are doing Nat 5 nationals or GCSEs at the moment, tonight's a good one because you can think about audit and then you know what it might take if this is a career for you. For those who are doing the hires and advanced hires, really good evening for you because they're going to be telling you, the guys are going to be telling you a bit later on about upcoming jobs that you can apply for relatively shortly that will be starting in September. So if you're going into your final year at the moment, then you'll particularly want to know about those. You got another poll, I think, haven't you? Do you want me to help out with your second poll as well?
So, yeah, just give us some results.
If it's not appearing on screen for you.
No, it's not. So we're just thinking about, yeah, now in terms of things that look, yeah, Kim, taking over your part there, sorry.
You're totally fine. I was going to say, in terms of how things are looking for you right now, how do you see your career pathway? So there's lots of options there, going to uni, joining a graduate scheme, or just seeing what happens like afterwards, starting out an apprenticeship, getting a job and working your way up, or if you've got something else in mind, stick it in the poll.
All right, so we can see you've got some answers coming up at the moment in your polling. So we've got more people wanting, so it's a bit of a split. So we've got a few more people wanting to think about starting an apprenticeship, which is always quite handy because we'll tell you about those. And then there's a few people who are thinking about going to uni and then just see what happens afterwards. So we've got quite a lot of people in Lloyds who went and did that. And then we've got a few people who are going to uni and then joining a graduate scheme afterwards, which we also have in Lloyds. And then you've got somebody who is interested in just getting the job and working their way up, which is absolutely fine as well, because there's more than one way. So a bit of a split, a little bit of a leaning towards apprenticeships for you.
Okay, that's excellent. Perfect. Okay. So do we have our third poll then to think about how did you hear about today's event then? So let's see how everyone heard about tonight's event.
Yeah, you can just pop this in the chat, I think, rather than doing a poll. So
okay.
yeah, so guys, we're always interested in understanding how you might hear about this. So whether you're like whether Instagram is your thing, or whether you kind of pick it up from LinkedIn or your school. So India says my school recommended it, which is lovely. So thank you to your school for telling you about it this evening. Brilliant. Yeah, okay.
We are always curious just to find out, what social media channels people use, just to know how we should keep up with everyone. And you're an Insta person to get your business info from LinkedIn. I've only just discovered Snapchat myself, but you're maybe a TikTok person. So thank you for sharing that. Do continue to pop that in the chat. That's great. I don't know, Kim, are you a LinkedIn?
You know what? It's not something I've done yet, but I'm a Facebooker, so the OG, I like just sharing my favourite song on the train, like when I'm going there. Not anyone's going to pick that up. I'll share like the song that I'm listening to on the train, or like, I've been in touch with a few of my mates that are maybe like here, there and everywhere that I don't really get to see. So yeah, Facebook and Messenger, but I'm not familiar with the gram.
But it's good to have variety, isn't it? So perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh. Will we move on?
Yep, you're ready to move on. If you just want me to help you out a little bit, so just introduce myself. So I'm Ian. You've got my colleague Rich in the background as well. You've also got Gareth on the screen, part of our production team. And anything that you need to ask, just ask questions in the chat, and we'll do our best. But I think Lauren, you've got a guest to be introducing to us, haven't you?
Yes, absolutely. So tonight's event is all about careers in audit, and we're going to kick off by finding more out about the industry in terms of where it is in terms of skills, any new trends that are really important, and we're just going to find out what it's like to work in this space, and just to try and determine if it's the the style of working that will suit your personality. And it's just really good to get more information from someone that is familiar and actually works within that division. So let me introduce you to Scott. He's here to tell us about what audit is, why it's important, really just think about why audit is a really important function within large companies within Britain. So welcome, Scott, to Careers Live. Thanks for joining us this evening from Edinburgh. I'm just going to ask you some questions, if that's okay. I'll give you a chance just to say hi.
Good evening all from Edinburgh, and thank you, Lauren, for the introduction.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. So it's likely that a lot of people joining us tonight maybe haven't heard about audit as a career choice. So I'd just like to start by asking you, what is the easiest way to describe what audit does? If you have to tell your friends and family, what do you do in audit? That would be great to get us kicked off.
Sure, we'll get the juices flowing with quite a simple way to describe things as I would describe it to my family and friends. So I think if we just start with setting the scene, so within the audit function within the bank, we consists of 300 colleagues. So as Lauren mentioned earlier, in the group there's 55,000 colleagues. So we're a relatively small, close-knit function, and primarily we exist in a nutshell to keep the bank safe. So in terms of doing that, we try and stop bad things from happening. And we're not just stopping bad things from happening, we're also encouraging risk-taking, and risk-taking that's done in a safe way to capitalise on opportunities. So for example, like launching a new product. Now, the unique thing about Audit is that we are in a unique position in the group where we audit the entire group. So all functions, all departments, all colleagues, essentially. So if you have an interest in, say, understanding how suppliers and supply chain works, then we audit group sourcing and procurement. So that could be an area that you could cover. And I think if we just think about the pandemic and what that meant for supply chains, I think I'm living and breathing a real life impact of why that is important that we manage it effectively at the moment. So if you think about semiconductor chips in cars, I was supposed to get a new car in December. So there's a shortage in the supply chain of semiconductor chips, and actually I'm now likely to get it in April or May. So that's going to have a big impact on the automotive industry, for example. Let me flip that to if perhaps you might have an interest in the climate and sustainability. We also have a sustainability audit team. So that team is interested in reviewing how the group manages our carbon footprint and influences positive change in terms of the planet and making finance a force for good. And then just finally, just to kind of illustrate the range of areas that we audit within the function and different options that are available to those that are joining us tonight. We also have a technology audit team. So that ranges from auditing our old creaky legacy infrastructure from the 80s that still exists in the bank, all the way through to our new WYSI cloud solutions and also the mobile banking applications that you will all see in your phone. But one analogy that I like to use to make it really simple is the lines of defence analogy. So within the group, we have 3 lines of defence. The first line of defence, if I apply it to a sporting context, the first line of defence you could consider as our strikers and midfielders. So that's our frontline colleagues in the branches and marketing department, might be in a telephone banking centre. They're the first line of defence to protect the bank, keep it safe, and act in the interests of our customers and putting our customers first. We then have the second line of defence, which is our risk teams. Our risk team, you could consider the defenders, and they are the second line. They set the policy and the rules for the first line to follow so that all colleagues act safely and in the interests of customers. And then you have audit. So you can consider us, audit, as the goalkeepers in that analogy. So we are the final opportunity to stop or prevent a goal from being conceded. And we're the final opportunity to stop bad things from happening. So kind of in a nutshell, that's what audit do.
Right, I love that analogy. So you can, now you're the goalkeepers of LBG, which is great. And sustainability as well, it's such a hot topic at the minute. So it's good to know that there's lots of different teams within audit as well and to explore really relevant and current topics. So thank you for sharing that. And yourself, how did you find yourself in this career? How did you make your way to audit?
Yeah, so if I'm completely honest, a little bit by accident. I never set out for a career in audit. If I'm honest, I'm probably in the same boat as a number of people in this call this evening who are wondering what on earth is audit. However, I did see a job advert, and in that job advert, it described a role which was fast-paced, no 2 days being the same, and you're learning something new every day. And actually, the advert itself also broadcast the helicopter view that you could gain from a career in audit. So personally, I went through the General Management Graduate Scheme for Lloyds Banking Group, which consisted of a number of rotations across the group in different roles. So I've worked from places in group property to doing our year-end accounts in insurance to launching new commercial products. So a real spectrum of roles. But I think the thing that drew me to it was the continuation of that helicopter view and rotations that was available. So as described, there's all sorts of different teams within audit. It's very flexible. You can move around very easily. Audit as a skill set is highly transferable. And actually, that was what drew it to me as a career option.
That's really good to know on the skills transfer, isn't it? I've just got time for one last quick question then. So why, audit's a really important function in companies. So why is it we hear very little about it?
So I think if we just step back and dial back in history for a short period, I think traditionally there was a bit of a mystery around audit. So it was all considered a bit cloak and dagger, and you may have seen stereotypes and pictures and depictions of auditors wearing bowlers hats, long coats and carrying briefcases, operating in a dark cupboard. I think that couldn't be further from the truth now, although it would be quite fun if that was still the case. However, in terms of why is it important, so our executives in almost every organisation these days give audit a seat at the top table. So we're seen as an independent, forward-thinking partner to executives at the top table who seek our counsel on strategic direction of the organisation and also on how to keep their area of the bank as safe as possible. If I can just use one very quick example to bring that to life. So I'm sure you've all seen the news in the recent weeks, and there's a well-known postal delivery service that has just been the victim of a cyber attack, and more specifically, a ransomware attack. So this is whereby criminals manage to obtain access to systems and data within that well-known postal delivery service. And actually, what that has meant is that international delivery of parcels has been temporarily cancelled. Now, linking that back to audit, why are we important? We are there to test controls in the organisation to make sure that cyber criminals cannot get in and access that type of information and causes these types of trouble. So essentially, in a nutshell, we are there to prevent financial and reputational disasters, and that ransomware attack just illustrates what can happen if you don't have a strong control framework that we're in place to assure.
Yeah, well, really important division within LBG then, definitely. Great, well, thank you, Scott. Really appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to move back over to Kim. Thanks.
Thank you all.
So we're learning that audit is a career that helps companies do the right things and do things safely. Now, as a career, it might not be the first thing that comes to mind, but when things don't go according to plan, for example, when companies don't quite think everything through, stories can then start to hit the headlines. So thinking back in the 90s, as almost every marketing student now knows, the company Hoover came up with what they thought was fantastic promotion, like sell more vacuum cleaners. The concept was a simple one: buy a vacuum cleaner and get free flights to America. Now, to me, that sounds amazing, right? And with the cheapest vacuum cleaner costing around £120 compared to a transatlantic flight costing about, what, 600? It proved to be more popular than Hoover expected or had prepared for. So let's take a look.
Spend over £100 on any Hoover product and we'll give you 2 return flight seats to either New York or Florida. 2 return flight seats. Unbelievable.
People worked out that even if you didn't want the product, the fridge or the Hoover, you could buy it and get your trip to America and you were still quids in.
I thought it was too good to be true, actually. My wife said, no, it's Hoover. They're a trusted company, good reputation. We're getting 2 free flights, so let's go for it. Buy the Hoover.
It was the deal of the decade, and Hoover's owners were delighted.
They were selling product like they'd never done before. The staff were all on overtime. In fact, one of their senior executives told me they'd never ever seen market share like that in the company's history.
It was all going so well. Within a few months, free flights had transformed Hoover from a fuddy-duddy firm trying to shift old vacuum cleaners and washing machines into a sought-after brand. As Hoover's customers prepared to jet off across the globe, it seemed everyone was a winner. But their holiday dreams were about to be shattered.
We waited and we waited. And unfortunately, the free flights didn't come along.
In Glasgow, the Daily Record sensed a scoop. Reporter John Nairn was sent out to investigate.
I decided I would check all the airlines operating out of Glasgow Airport for America, because Hoover had said that they booked flights for the American offer. None of them had any bookings.
When the Daily Record printed the story, it became obvious that more than a few customers hadn't received their tickets.
Calls were coming in everywhere, from the boardroom to the canteen. At one stage, the actual circuit board in the telephone system blew up. People were turning up at the office in their dozens.
The media storm quickly took hold, but the negative publicity had an unfortunate effect.
More people realised the offer was available, and more people went along to the electrical stores and started buying Hoovers.
Hoover was now receiving 10 times the number of vouchers it had projected.
I can remember looking at Exchange and Mart at the time, and there were pages and pages of Hoovers for sale. Clearly people were going out and buying a second and third Hoover just to participate in the promotion, and that's exactly what you don't want to happen.
While new customers were eagerly sending their applications in, old customers were still waiting for a response. Retailers began to worry about Hoover's ability to deliver on its promises. Some withdrew the offer.
You're now in a situation where the stores really didn't want to stock their stuff. When you said Hoover now, they weren't thinking of vacuum cleaners anymore. They were now thinking of free flights fiasco.
It started as a bright idea for selling vacuum cleaners. It turned into a logistical nightmare. And Hoover didn't really have the cash or the manpower to honour its promotions. Hoover's American owners had little choice but to intervene. They sacked the company's 3 top British bosses and pledged an extra £20 million to guarantee the promotion.
I'm joined now by Sarah Garfett from our office here in Edinburgh. Sarah, we all love a free flight to America, but it goes to show how sometimes people can sometimes have the best ideas in their head, but then it always pays to have another perspective, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. As much as I'm sure we would all love a free flight to America, I know I definitely would, but Audit is effectively like that second pair of eyes or that third pair of eyes. So Scott was talking earlier about the different lines of defence, and just to try and bring it to life for everybody, I don't know if you've ever had a bit of a problem. It might be a school problem or it could be a personal problem, and you're maybe staring at something and you just can't work it out and it just doesn't make sense. So Audit in effect is kind of like that friend that you might phone or classmate that you go, do you know what, I just can't work this out, let's chat it through, and you can then sort of get another perspective and they can offer that bit of reassurance and guidance, because it's not just about kind of looking backwards and being the goalie, if we're using Scott's analogy, and going, oh, that ball went in, that's a shame, that's horrible. It can also be very much kind of, oh look, a ball's coming towards us, let's stop that, let's protect the goal and really try and help with that situation. And then hopefully you don't end up in a fiasco where nobody's getting their free flights to America, or in a fiasco where the banks maybe lost people's money or something, just trying to protect it.
You want that, right? Are there any like qualifications of subjects or anything that's like more helpful than others that you can think of?
So I've already seen a question talking about like history and sort of is history qualifications, would that be helpful? I think the thing that is really helpful to think about is there are a lot of different qualities in an auditor. Now we do have on the application, there are some sort of base requirements for qualifications, which is your GCSE or Nat5, maths and English. And that's just because the physical audit exams require those, so we need them. But there's lots of other courses that you might have done that would still be really relevant. Your English is always going to be helpful because we do audit reports, and there's lots of words and stuff that are involved in that. But there's also, thinking slightly different. So if you think about trying to stop those balls coming in and being that other perspective, some of your more creative courses can be really helpful, or just things that get you thinking in a slightly different way. So just because you've potentially done something like, I'm now trying to think of a course off the top of my head, gym, for example, which you might go, how on earth could that have a connection to audit? Well, you're going to be thinking about strategy because you might be trying to win your sport. You're going to be thinking about, how do I improve what I'm doing right now? So I'm going to change the way I'm hitting that ball because I want to do that better. So there's lots of different things and lots of different skills you might be building in lots of different courses that will actually be building those different things that would really help you once you got into audit. So it doesn't have to be something as obvious as English or business. There's lots of different life skills that everybody will be learning in all the different things that you study and you do.
Thank you so much for your time, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Let's take a look at what some of our recent graduates and apprentices have been getting up to.
Fantastic.
Ready?
Steady.
Go. Here at Lloyds Banking Group, there's no such thing as just an apprentice. I'm in a position to say whether our products are fair, ethical, and designed to help Britain prosper.
That moment when you realise you're in a team managing over £150 billion in funds.
It isn't all finance all the time. I led a partnership with Macmillan to help our customers access better cancer care.
Everyone knows you can trust Lloyds. I've seen our bold sustainability commitments, and every day I see us following through.
1 minute I'm leaving uni with my sports science degree. The next I'm in a room thinking of ideas to help millions of families during the pandemic.
I work in financial crime, international sanctions. As you can imagine, it's a pretty interesting place to be right now.
1 minute you're reading about the cost of living crisis, and the next you're writing a briefing paper on it.
Off the back of my dissertation on DevOps pipelines, I went into an engineering role, and now I'm rolling it out company-wide.
We all got million subscription nowadays, so my team built a tool that helps 18 million customers manage them in our app.
When it's not developing with React or Redux, it's gaming with the other grads, or the odd night out.
I couldn't be prouder of my outreach work through Lloyds, helping school-age girls and non-binary people get into coding.
My next step, go for an associate director role, either in my team or something new and exciting. How's that for a rotation?
Amazing, I really love that video. It's just great to see people's ambitions and all the different things that they're up to, all within our organisation. And it just gives you that real good idea of that variety and what we do to add meaning and value to our customers. So I'm now delighted to be joined by 3 of our current apprentices. They've recently joined Lloyds Banking Group and they're on our audit programme as we speak. So welcome to Jennifer, Ellie and Kieran. Great to have you here. So I'm just going to start by asking you guys some questions because you are, right in the middle of your apprenticeship at the moment. So you're best placed to let everyone know about your Lloyds journey. So I'll start with you, Kieran, if that's okay. Just to get a feel for, actually what did you do before you started your apprenticeship?
Yep, no worries, and hi everyone. So I joined my apprenticeship back in September 2020, and prior to that I was studying business, economics and history A-level at sixth form whilst working part-time in my local co-op.
Excellent, thanks for sharing that, Kieran. And same question for you, Jennifer. What were you doing before your apprenticeship?
Yeah, so I was also in high school, so I'm in Scotland, so it's a bit different. So I was doing my hires. So there's too many to list off. I was also working in a soft play and a cafe part-time, and I joined in September 2021.
Excellent. So both straight out of school then, so that's great to know. And Ellie, if I could ask you, what got you interested in internal audit?
So
Honestly, probably similar to a lot of you on the call, I didn't know much about audit before I started. I'd heard of external audit and I thought internal audit might be quite finance focused too, but it turns out that it's not. And yeah, so I saw the job description and it seemed like something that really interested me. I like the fact that audit kind of gives you a lot of exposure to the whole bank, and there's really varied work because you can kind of rotate around the different teams and yeah, see what the business gets up to in all these different areas.
Mm-hmm. Great, that's perfect. And then Jennifer, leading on from that question then, so just tell us what it's really like, you know, is it exciting, is it boring, like hopefully not boring, but you know, is any 2 days the same for yourself?
I don't find any 2 days the same. I really enjoy internal audit and I think it's very interesting because you're constantly learning about different areas and processes and the risks that kind of come along with that. So having no 2 days the same is something that really appealed to me because I'm always learning and developing.
Excellent, thank you. And Kieran, what about for yourself? Is any 2 days the same?
No, definitely not. I'd say that I'm quite a nosy person, and I like to have oversight of lots of different things. So it's quite an exciting place to work. Whilst working on an audit, you may be assigned to a certain part of the audit, such as a control or risk area, so you'll know what you'll be working on. But as soon as you discover something that could change your day and make it so exciting, which you need to go and then discuss with your managers and then with your business stakeholders as well.
Great, and it's always good to be curious, not necessarily nosy. Curious sounds better, doesn't it? Excellent. And then Ellie, similar question to Scott then. How would you describe what you do to your friends and family?
So I think, to put it very simply, we kind of test how efficiently the business is controlling risks, and then we'll kind of send a written report with our findings back to the business so that they can kind of take the necessary actions and steps to mitigate those risks.
Okay, excellent. That's great. Thanks. Jennifer, what's the learning curve been like then in reality? How's that going for you?
Yeah, I think before I started, I was quite nervous about what it was going to be like jumping into full-time work, but it was really nothing to be worried about. Everyone within the function is extremely supportive. They're always happy to answer my questions, which I always have a lot of. And it's really just great to develop your knowledge. And it's really just a great environment. Everyone's really encouraging and it really helps you grow both with your personal skills and your professional.
Mm-hmm. Great, that's good to know. Always good to ask questions along being curious. Ellie, what about your learning curve then since you've started at LBG? How have you found it?
Yeah, I think it's been like a really good smooth transition from secondary school. And we kind of get a month-long induction at the start, which helps you to really ease into your role. But generally, I think there's always a healthy amount of challenge. So you're always developing, but there's obviously loads of support there to fall back on if you need it.
Yeah, that's really good to know, especially coming right out of school when you've had support from, you know, your teachers and stuff as well. It's good to know that that happens in the work environment as well. Excellent.
Definitely.
Great. And then Kieran, if I come back to yourself then, so we know that you chose an apprenticeship over going to uni. So what was your motivations for this? Why did you choose that route?
Yeah, no, so definitely. I think there was probably a number of things whilst I was in sixth form that I needed to consider. I think for me personally, I like to be extremely busy all of the time. I don't like just to sit around or be listening to lectures all day. So I thought that maybe an apprenticeship over going to university would be better suited to me. I think the idea of earning whilst you're learning appealed to me massively. I'd already, as I said, I'd been working at the co-op, so I'd already had that small income coming in, but the opportunity to work full time and whilst learn and get a degree as well on the side as well was a great opportunity for me.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that. And Jennifer, same question for you. Why did you choose apprenticeship over uni?
Yeah, so I really prefer learning on the job rather than sitting listening to lectures or looking at sort of textbooks and not getting to implement what I was learning. So apprenticeships really appealed to me. Not only was I able to get the qualifications that I was looking for, but also have the opportunity to implement what I was learning and see how it fits in with the workplace. And I think that's something that I really thrive with, and it really helps me to learn and be able to carry out the work. And I was also able to gain the experience and see what type of areas and what type of work I like to work with.
No, that's great, definitely. So we've got a couple of minutes left, and I'm just thinking, Ellie, for people that are on the call today, you know, what type of skills do you think that have really helped you thrive in this role, just so others know what types of things to look for?
Yeah, so I think the main one would just be an eagerness to learn and develop. You're always going to get far if you're eager. And then another big one I would say is curiosity, to just kind of have a questioning mind. And then I would also say interpersonal skills, because you'll speak to lots of different people from different areas of the business, so that'll really support you. But again, Lloyds really invest in their apprentices, so you'll kind of build these skills over time.
Great. And would you add anything else to that, Jennifer? Any other skills just in the last minute?
I think Ellie's really covered them all. The only other one I'd maybe say is collaboration. We work with our teams a lot and communicate with other people often, so I think being able to have that collaboration is really important.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. If anyone else has any questions for Ellie, Kieran or Jennifer, please do feel free to put them into the chat, and I'll pass back over to Kim. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, and great work, everyone. Now, before the pandemic, getting your hires or your A-levels and disappearing off to university was like one of the most popular choices among students. Across the UK, of course, student finance works differently, and university is still undoubtedly like most popular. But during the pandemic, things actually started to change. So we learned to learn online, and many people have started to think a little more carefully about what they choose to study and how it might ultimately help them get a job. So degrees courses are adapting to have more like industrial placements at work, like work-based elements. And in England, there are like TE levels alongside A levels that have more vocational and work experience-based appeal to them. And of course, apprenticeships are obviously growing in size, range and popularity. So if you're not in the know already, an apprenticeship means earning while you're learning. So you're studying a course, often with a specific qualification at the end of it, but you're also working, meaning that you're earning money, okay? And having to demonstrate how you're applying what you're learning to what you're doing, it's just another style of learning that suits like many other people. Apprenticeships comes into like different levels, okay? So they start like level 2, which sits at about like Nat 5 or GCSE level, and they go all the way up to like a level 7. So in audit, we do a level 4, which is like a foundation degree, and then move on to level 7, which is like the equivalent to a master's degree. There are upsides and downsides. You are working and studying, and that works well for some people, but it does mean that you have to be like very focused and disciplined. And on the other hand, you're also earning a salary and picking up qualifications without tuition fees, as these are paid directly by your employer for you. So here to tell us more about how it works and what opportunities are coming up soon at Lloyds Banking Group are Rich from Lloyds Apprenticeship Team. And we're going to go back to Sarah to talk specifically about upcoming opportunities in audit.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Rich, it really does sound like, you know, too good to be true. You start off with nothing, and, you know, a few years later, you could have a master's degree, no student debt and money in the bank. So really, what is the catch here?
Yeah, it does, but there's really no catch. It really is as good as it sounds. So our school leaver internal audit apprenticeships are an ideal opportunity for enthusiastic school leavers and people that are eager to start their career and professionally qualify. And through these apprenticeships, at the end of it, you'll professionally qualify as a chartered internal auditor with a master's in audit management and consultancy. And as many of my colleagues have said this evening, all of that's whilst you're earning a salary. So it really is a pretty great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how do apprenticeships actually work in practice then?
Yeah, so as was mentioned earlier, there's two key parts to the apprenticeship. So you'll be starting your journey by completing the level 4 in internal audit, a level 4 internal audit practitioner apprenticeship. Now, after you complete that level 4, you're then going to move on to the level 7, which is the internal audit professional apprenticeship. And that level 7 is where you would also qualify with your master's degree too. So the programs usually last between 18 months at the level 4 and then about 3.5 years for the level 7. So again, you'd start the group at the level 4, start the learning at that lesser level, and then you'll move on to the level 7, which is the more difficult level and where you get that master's degree. Then, as I've said before, if you're successful in both of those, then you will become a chartered internal auditor with that master's in internal audit management and consultancy, and that'll take about 5 years.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know the time scales. And then what qualifications then do you need to be able to start that apprenticeship? I know a couple of people have asked that in the chat already, but just to confirm on their qualifications part.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. So to be eligible, you'll need to have a minimum of grades 1 to 3 in maths and English in your Nat 5s if you're based in Scotland. If you're elsewhere in the UK, you'll need a minimum of grades 4 to 9 in your maths and English GCSEs. Plus, you'll need a minimum of 112 UCAS points. Now, I know many of you are currently at school, so you can use your predicted grades for these. You don't need to wait until you have your results to apply. And as someone said earlier, our application process will start soon, so please don't wait until those exam results if you're interested in applying.
Yeah, that's really good to know. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And then I'd like to just switch on to Sarah now, because we really want to hear about these upcoming roles that are going to be available soon in audit. So Sarah, are you able to let us know where those roles will be based, and just let us know what will happen if people are not actually living in these cities at the moment?
Yes, so we're going to have apprentices joining us both in Edinburgh and in London, and those apprentices will be coming into the office a few days a week, and we do, we've really thought about it, because we did have apprentices who joined during COVID who did join remotely. So we have really sort of carefully considered it, but very much sort of the ability to come into the office and sit next to people like Scott, who's a head of audit, who's got lots of experience and lots of different people, really makes quite a massive difference in the learning journey. So we do sort of really need people to be based in one of those cities. Now, what that doesn't mean is it doesn't mean you have to live in Edinburgh or you have to live in London, because I know I myself, I don't actually physically live in Edinburgh, but I live outside of Edinburgh and I commute in. So you don't have to think I live in Falkirk or I'm now trying to think of somewhere close to London that is commutable, and there's just so many places there that I'm going to get something wrong, so I'm not going to try and do that. But it's just thinking about that journey and making sure it's realistic.
Yeah, and I think it's just really important that people know how valuable our office time is, and that we do take that hybrid approach. Great, thank you for confirming that. And then, so how does someone apply then? That's the all-important question.
So the applications will open very, very shortly, and you'll be able to find the link on our apprenticeship careers page. And once that opens, you'll have a few questions in the application that you'll need to do. And then there's a few stages to the application process. So there'll be a couple of online tests and an online video interview. And then once you've done those, we then will bring some people to assessment centres, and then a few lucky apprentices will be successful from the assessment centres. So we're going to be doing those assessment centres in April. So it is kind of a journey that takes a couple of months before you would find out, just so everybody knows that and you're not kind of sitting there wondering.
Yeah, it's really good to know what that process and timelines look like. So thank you for sharing that. And just one very final question, just quickly, any hints and tips for anyone on the call just now that you would offer them before they apply?
I think, sort of like they've been talking about in the chat, really kind of think about all your transferable skills. The one thing I would say to everybody is we're not searching for people who have experience. We're not expecting you to have previously audited or anything like that. It's really looking for your strengths and your potential. So I wouldn't kind of look at the advert and go, oh my goodness, I don't think I've got enough experience or anything like that. It's very much kind of, are you curious? You know, thinking about the things that the apprentices were speaking about. Are you curious? Are you interested? And then if you come to the assessment centre, really just kind of showing off that passion and that interest in the role, because that's really, we want people who want to come and learn with us.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions, and I'm just going to pass over to Kim to start the wrap up.
Thank you very much, and big thanks to Rich and Sarah, and indeed all of our guests. We've learned this evening that internal audit is a diverse sector, and there are lots of different ways to develop your career. In our last few minutes, we've got some great resources, useful websites and hints and tips to hand out, so don't go anywhere. It's been great to learn all about careers in audit, and that it's like so much more than just checking everyone's work and tell them that they've got it wrong. This function keeps Lloyds safe, and it keeps our customers safe. And the same professionals exist in major companies right across the UK, doing the same in their own kind of way. So I'll pass back to yourself, Lauren.
Excellent, thank you. We've only got a quick 5 minutes left, so we want to just do a quick few more polls with you before we go. So we'll just get those set up on the screen now. You can see them coming up, and we want to ask you now, from on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, how well do you now understand the opportunities within internal audit? So you launched that one there. We'll just give you a second to answer that. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you understand the opportunities within internal audit?
Lauren, I'm just checking that you can actually see the polls this time. So that they're on there. Yeah. Okay. So it's all fours, which is pretty good. Yeah.
Excellent. That's where we want to be. And we'll move on then to the next poll as well. So we're all fours on that one. So thinking about now on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, I think an apprenticeship could be right for me. So we'll launch that one now for you. So would an apprenticeship be right for you? Give you a second on that one. Get that one launched.
So what we would say here is this is just for our interest, really. So, you know, we want to help you understand what an apprenticeship is all about. And now that you know, if you think, well, actually, this isn't really the style of learning that'll suit you, that's absolutely fine. We've still done our job. But you have got a few people here who are going, yep, it's highly likely I want to do an apprenticeship. So, Kim, they'll be chasing hard on your heels.
Well,
I like to hear
it. Really interesting to see that response. Thank you for that, Ian. Thank you.
Well, great. Now, I feel that, you know, we've learned so much this evening. So again, I just want to thank all of our guests for joining us. And you know what? Can you believe we're in the first few days of January 2023? And that means whilst this Careers Live is coming to an end, we have many more careers to feature and tell you all about them. I'm looking ahead to February in England and Wales. Just so you know, we'll be celebrating National Apprenticeship Week from the 6th of February. This is a week-long celebration of apprenticeships in action. We'll be sending Lloyds apprentices out to schools and colleges across the land to help students understand different careers and possibilities out there. We'll have a special Careers Live on Tuesday the 7th of February, all about apprenticeships, and we'll be streaming from schools across the nation every day of what looks to be a really busy week. So just get that in the diary, yeah?
It's National Apprenticeship Week 2022, and we're celebrating how apprentices are making a difference. Enabling businesses to develop workforces with future-facing skills.
I think they come with a real open mind. They embed themselves into the team really well because they look up to their team members as experienced people, and I think that they really bring that passion and drive to the team, and maybe a new way of looking at things as well.
It actually develops you as a person.
Boosting business productivity and supporting innovation and growth.
We can kind of grow our own people. So what you want is to invest in people and to train them up and get them to stay. And I think if we can invest in people early on, support their career and their development, then they'll stay with us
enabling individuals of all ages to develop valuable skills through training and hands-on experience across a wide range of exciting jobs.
It's the experience that you gain that I think is so much deeper.
I've learned how to talk to different people, how to get on with everyone. It's just made me more confident being able to do that.
Join National Apprenticeship Week 2022 as we build back better from the pandemic, helping businesses to thrive and empowering individuals to reach their career goals. Apprenticeships are building the future.
So staying with that theme of skills for life, we're really looking forward to the first Tuesday in March as well, where we'll be exploring careers in software development. And the good news is that you don't have to have studied computing to thrive in a career in tech. So there's lots of resources to help you out. So firstly, we've mentioned our Lloyds Banking Group Early Careers website, as well as all the jobs. There's details of all our programmes, our opportunities to interact with our current grads and apprentices, study resources and more. So do check that out. You can even register for those job alerts. Then we have the Association of Apprentices and the Amazing Apprenticeships. They're both really good websites that give you insight around apprenticeships and find out, from any employer, any career sector that you're looking for. So really good resource on there. And lastly, if you've missed any of the previous Lloyds live sessions or you'd like to rewind tonight's event, if you've missed anything, then please do catch the replay and all other sessions on our Lloyds Banking Group Careers YouTube channel.
And here are those links one more time. You can scan the QR code or follow the link in the chat. There's also the Lloyds Banking Group Talent website, and the link for February's Careers Live, all about apprenticeships. And if you're loving this evening and want to apply to start with us in Audit this coming September, you can register your interest on the Talent website. Over to yourself, Lauren.
Excellent. So that's now 7 o'clock and we've officially run out of time. So from everyone here at Lloyds Banking Group in Edinburgh, we wish you the very best and we wish you every success in the career that takes you. Thank you very much for joining.
What does success mean to us?
Success is making a difference.
For our customers and our communities.
Success is empowering people from the start.
Building their confidence.
Giving them tools to start their careers.
Success is putting our people first.
It's knowing when to listen.
And making the time to talk.
Success is supporting causes we care about.
It's getting involved. All hands on deck.
Success is making banking better.
It's engineering a fairer future.
Making progress and leaving no one behind.
Whatever shape it takes.
Success starts with us.